Welcome to day 2 of 3 days of fossil hunting on the Yorkshire coast, and we've got a bit of snow on the ground. As you can see, this is the view from my hotel room. I always like to stay in the lap of luxury when I go fossil hunting, and this is my fantastic sea view. As you can see, beautiful picture of the sea there. Yeah. So it's not quite high tide yet, so I'm going to enjoy a coffee before I set off. Hopefully get to Ravenscar. Maybe an hour after high tide. Might be waiting a little bit. I don't want to wait too long in it's cold, because it gets cold when you start waiting around, so we'll see what we can do. Yeah, lovely bit of wind, some big breakers, not as big as yesterday, I don't think. It's calming down a little bit, but yeah, definitely a bit of snow in the air looking at those clouds. Yeah, let's go see if we can find something. So not a bad first day's haul yesterday. Some big dacks, nice pseudo-leoceras, decent ildi, lots and lots of dacks, a few pseudos in among, yeah, all sorts in there. Quite a decent box full. So yeah, on day 2 we've got a bit of snow on the ground. Sunny Whitby. So, wrapped up warm because it's snowing, and yeah, it's a bit windy as well. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get the car back to Whitby where we finish fossil hunting, but there looks to be quite a bit of snow coming down, so that got me in the eye. So heading down to Ravenscar. You can't really see much because there's loads of snow in the air. Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a winter wonderland going on. So yeah, we'll go down, have a look, see what we can see. Hopefully there'll be some nice fossils out. Who knows? It's it seems to be getting quite busy down at Ravenscar these days. And it's not a massive exposure, but yeah, you never know. Sometimes it can be good, and yeah, sometimes it can be not a lot. So let's hope there's been a little bit of material coming out. So yeah, right, it's not my usual sunrisey beautiful picture at Ravenscar today. It's a grim, bleak winter blur with big waves all the way up to the cliff still. No, we might be waiting a little bit down there, but I don't think too long. Right, we're out of the wind now. It's blisteringly cold coming down the golf course at Ravenscar. Don't know why anyone would want a golf course at Ravenscar, to be honest. It is the worst place for one. But yeah, steep hill, cliff sides, freezing cold weather, always windy. But yeah, there's just you can see where that rough patch of sea is. That's the peak fault. So it's a big patch of I think it's Cleveland ironstone, I can't remember off the top of my head now, but it's a really hard part of the rocks which has been uplifted. So yeah, that's just starting to show now. Tide is going out quite often in summer. You see all the seals on there, they seem to like it in summer, but in winter they tend to be a bit closer to the cliffs. So we're going to take the path that's going to avoid all the seals, because this is their pupping time. So they've got a lot of young ones at this time of year, so they need to avoid seal disturbances as much as possible and respect the local wildlife. But yeah, well, now. Yeah, quite dusty. Some wind trouble trying to blow me down the hill before walking back up. So yeah, we're going to head down this path, get down to the beach. The wind has calmed down a bit now. I'm wearing a hat. I never wear hats, and that's how cold it is. So yeah, it's in that wind, it was absolutely freezing. But I guess that's the wind chill factor. Because what do you do to cool a hot drink down? You blow on it, because it promotes the coolingness. So yeah, as soon as you get out the wind, it does warm up a little bit. It's 1 degree today, so it is a little bit warmer than it has been, because it's been minus, only a little bit minus. But yeah, some big waves coming in. You can see Lee Wyke in the distance there, and again that looks like some big breakers hitting that. Oh yeah. So yeah, make our way down slowly. We're going to be waiting a little bit for the tide to go out again, like yesterday at Sands End. But that's okay. Got plenty of time, no rush. I'll follow the tide out as far as it goes, and then head back up the cliff for some coffee and breakfast, and probably head somewhere else. It's a lovely little pathway. It's lovely in winter actually. It is quite pretty even though it's freezing. You know, the problem is the ground is so hard. If you hit a patch of ice under the snow, it's very slippy. So I'm taking my time coming down here, skirting this little pathway. So yeah, follow this down through the gorse bushes, get to the sea. So almost onto the beach, getting there. And you can see we've got some really tall cliffs here at Ravenscar. So really tall cliffs, and all this material here is what's slumped down. So it's a real mishmash of material that's slumped down, and it is a big landslip basically going out towards the sea, and it's still moving because every year these little get downs get a little bit steeper, and you can see the land cracking in summer as it's dropping off into the sea, effectively sliding off the shale at the bottom there. So underneath all this there will be more beds all the way up to the sandstone up there. So there's a Lee Wyke sandstone which comes slowly down towards that Lee Wyke point, and that's the Alenian deposit. So Yorkshire, we tend to have the lower lias up until the toarcian. We do have Middle Jurassic deposits and Oxfordian, but they're much further to the south of Scarborough, not very big. So yeah, we're all mainly lower Jurassic, but this is one of the spots where we do get in this sandstone the Alenian. So you get that at West Bay and Burton Bradstock a little bit as well down south, but it's totally different preservation. So yeah, it's usually the very upper Bifron zones that we start finding some rarities here at Ravenscar. So if you're very lucky, you can find grammoceras and various other bits and pieces that have come out of the sandstone. But again, the preservation is not very good. So interesting scientifically, and to have some of these specimens, to know that they occur here. But the preservation on them is very poor, so they're not really a collector's piece. But yeah, still interesting. And there are other deposits elsewhere where there's much better preservation on these ammonites, and it is interesting to compare the two zones as well. So what you may find in one place, does it correspond to what you find in another place? Yeah, I find it quite interesting. My usual get down is full of ice, and the sea's all the way up to the top. So yeah, it's pretty rough out there today. So we're going to be hanging around for a little while, but that's interesting. See what the sea reveals as it goes out. So while waiting for the tide to go out, it's quite interesting to look at some of these blocks. So they are from the upper beds. You can see there there's a belemnite sticking out. So there were marine deposits, but at the end of the Toarcian period, Yorkshire started to shallow up. I can't quite remember why the reason was, whether it was an uplift or whether there was a barrier or something. You can see there, that is actually an ammonite, I think. Possibly be an ammonite, that, or it's either that or a burrow, I'm not sure. But yeah, the seas excuse me, shallowed up significantly, and it was either a deltaic, as in like a large estuary full of little rivers, like the end of the Nile, or it was very shallow seas, and it effectively became separated from the rest of England by the market weight and high, which is a big, I think it's a big chunk of chalk actually, I can't remember off the top of my head again, but this led to the deposits here being different and the fauna being slightly different as well. So yeah, sometimes it's worth looking in them. You also get bits where there is dinosaur footprints. They always just look like little blobs to me, unfortunately, but if you find a really nicely split or recently split trackway where the sea hasn't got to them already, because they are quite soft, then they do look quite impressive. Although I think you're better off at places like Burniston for that, because that's definitely younger. So the Eolinian period's about 174 million years old, I think. So here we are, and as you can see, there's not a lot of beach. Dear me, I'm losing my voice today. But there has been a tiny little bit of cliff fall here. I think I spy a nodule. Let's have a look. A few nodules actually. Oh, there's a nodule there. I don't think that will contain anything. And there's a nodule there. That could be an ammonite keel. If it is, it's a small one. They tend to be quite sticky from this bit though. Oh, there goes the sea. Can't see anything else. So we'll have a little tap of those, you never know, while we're waiting. See if there's anything comes out of them. So they were in fact the right rocks, but not very well preserved, as you can see, very small and sticky. And again, there was a tiny one in there, but fortunately they have broke. Very, very hard, very, very sticky, but you never know, sometimes there can be something nice in them. So tide's slowly making its way out. It's definitely going down a bit now, definitely going down. Found a couple of little bits of nodules, nothing great, so yeah, that'll be staying on the beach. An old DAC, so yeah. And this one is this little pyritic nodule I just found in the shale, and see, it's actually a coprolite, so fossilised poo. Don't know if it's fish or ichthyosaur, but yeah, fossilised poo. Again, I'm not a collector of those, so it can stay there. Still interesting to see. Oh, managed to get round. The waves are just terrible, but that is a beautiful sight. Some mildies there. Now, they might just be preserved in shale, but this is a big fallen block, so we can have a little look and see if there's out inside. There's all sorts in here, little nutshells, a few more nodules. So yeah, if they've got a cap on, that'd be brilliant because they'll be preserved. If they're just in shale, they probably won't be very good. So we'll have a look. Oh, it's still wild, still wild. It's getting there though, it's getting there slowly. Give me plenty of time to search. But yeah, pick this up, so I'm keeping up my record for Porpoceras. It's a bit of a squished one is this, but it's a big one, and it is a Porpoceras. So yeah, bit of a shame there. There's something gone on with this section here, just around there, because it's all there going into the mouth border, but yeah, it should have a middle, we'll see. But yeah, it's definitely a decent sized Porpoceras. 5 trips to Ravenscar, 5 Porpoceras. So I just split down this grammoceras block. This little one popped out, which is quite nice actually. Nice little one. And then I managed to split this one, and there's quite a decent one in there. Just needs a bit of tidying up, but yeah, nice grammoceras ammonite. So still at the first beach. That's a heartbreaker, is that? Catacoloceras. But yeah, only half of one unfortunately. See the difference between Porpoceras, a lot straighter across here where these are rounded. Yeah, that would have been nice. A couple of grammos, one there, one in there, might not take them yet, I don't know. And a Perinoceras in there. So yeah, so just slowly, the tide is not going out very quickly. Those waves are huge. Debating whether to oik it over the rocks and have a look in the other bay briefly, and then hopefully the tide's gone out by then. We'll see. Still looking around here. I'm just making my way to the second bay because the tide's not going out, so I might as well have a look there first before giving it another look later on. But as I mentioned earlier, this is the Bleewhite sandstone. It's Alenian, 174 million years old, and there is rare ammonites in it, as you can see there. That is an ammonite. There's also little shell clusters, and again you can see there was an ammonite in there, another one in there. These little patches, but they are nigh on impossible to collect, so there's no separation between the matrix and the ammonite, so nice to see when you're walking past when you see them, but yeah, you're not going to be collecting these, unfortunately, but they are very rare, but do occur. You can see in there as well as belemnites, little bits of wood, so again quite a shallow seafloor, and then above it you can see there's deposits of plants, and again that's quite a good one. In fact, you can see the lines of material where it's been deposited, so it's probably been very shallow or deltaic, and it's laid these layers down over the ages, but it's quite distinctive and quite interesting. But yeah, that is a rare Alenian ammonite from Ravenscar. Made it to the other bay. Now, one thing these storms have done is they've properly ripped out this section. So you can see this was all covered in big rocks and they've all been washed away. So you never know, there could be something interesting under here. It is the grammoceras zone around this bit. So yeah, we'll see. Variabilis zone is sort of under here as well, but I think it's a little bit lower down. So yeah, I'll see if we can find a few grammo blocks and maybe the odd rarity, who knows. You can really see how well the grammos did at this period of time. There's a little cast there, there's a cast there, there's a bigger one there. Plenty. But yeah, it's all unfortunately preserved in shale, so they don't always preserve very well. Again, there's another one there. So I'll look see if you can find any nodules, you never know. So I've gathered up some typical shelly nodules. You can already see there's a grammoceras in there. So yeah, it's the typical kind of lumpy bits that you get, and a couple of smoother ones as well. So we'll see what is in there. Right, so mainly empty. Just the one that had one showing, which managed to break. Typically, they don't like to break the way you want them to. However, make a nice little one out of that. There's another one there. There could even be some under there. Another little one out of that one. So a couple of little bits, but yeah, you can never tell how they're going to break and how full they're going to be. So yeah, these things are really heavy. If you get 3 or 4 of those full ones in your bag, yeah, you're never going to make it back up the cliff. So, and quite often they can be mostly empty. So you got to try and hit them and see what's inside. Right, well that sea's not going out at all. We now about 4 hours after high tide, I think. 3 hours after high tide. But I think I found a good thing. Hee. So I hit that one. I thought that's very very fine for a grammo. Could it be a haugia? And I think it's a haugia block, because I'm pretty sure that's one there. Now there's a little bit of damage just there, which is a bit of a shame, but if that's all in there, there'd be a small one there, there could be more in. They do come as multi-blocks sometimes, so yeah, that could be a haugia block. I'll settle with small because they are super rare. You can see how fine that is. So I don't hit it anymore. There's already a crack running across there. So yeah, it's going to need prepping delicately with air tools, I think, just to see if there's anything else in it. Who knows, there could be. Yeah, spot the dax time. Finally found one that looks half decent on here. Actually, well, there's 2 actually, because there's also one there, but that one's knackered. But that one looks pretty good. Last little bit now, just checking all the little piles of rocks for anything loose. I did find this nice grammoceras in one of these, so there could be more. Yeah, it's just a case of just checking them all. Never know, there's usually the nice spiny grammoceras that come round here. There's usual dacks and things. So, we found toarcian around here, so yeah. There's always a chance of finding something. It's too small. Again, I think that's only half. Yeah, that's only half. So lots of bits. It's always a good sign. And yeah, coming near the end of the beach now, so just these last few little bits to look at, and then head up the cliff and probably go somewhere else after a coffee break. You always need a bit of time just to... very slippy these rocks at the moment. You always need a little bit of time just to recover after you walked up Ravenscar. It's one heck of a hill. Right, if I find out, I'll be back to you.